Yep. I already got it.
Females and 135 males will receive their diplomas today. A glorious day for a glorious class. Please rise for the pledge and remain standing through the patriotic song. Good afternoon. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming the administration, faculty, town officials, members of the clergy, parents, alumni, and of course the students to the class of 1994's commencement exercises. Today, the class of 1994 stands before you to receive the piece of paper that says, "Welcome to the real world." We're opening a new chapter of our lives, the chapter of adulthood. The other night I sat and wondered about this new chapter. I realized if it weren't for our parents, the chapter would be unreachable. You have bestowed in each and every one of us our values. Through your many long, sometimes undesirable lectures, we have come to realize why we act as we do. You have shaped us into who we have become. You have been turning the pages for us all our lives. Now through you, we are ready to offer ourselves as contributing elements of society. For all you've done, on behalf of our class, I sincerely thank you. On behalf of the class of 1994, I would like to thank the valuable gift of education will never be forgotten by us. To the guidance counselors, and especially for me, Mr. Dupuy, you helped us ignore the fallacy of impossibility. For this, we thank you. To our administration, it is always tough to be a friend as well as a disciplinarian. Somehow, you did it all. Thank you. To Mrs. Fader, our class advisor, your unending support and enthusiasm made the class of 1994 what you're witnessing today. I would also like to thank Mrs. Fader for your friendship. Your guidance made the class and I even more secure behind the walls of Marshfield High School. To Mrs. Francis, Mr. John Napoleon, and Mr. Buddy Stu Stewart, I would like to thank you for all your advice and helping me always choose the right path to travel. A very special thank you goes out to the bald guy in charge. The man who has the final say in all we do at Marshfield High School. With his tenacious support towards the class of 1994, I can't remember a time he said no. I would also like to thank our superintendent, whose spirit and interest in the Marshfield school system goes beyond the confines of his office. To everyone else who has made our class what it is today, I thank you. 4 years ago, we started a journey. Rapidly and shockingly, the years are completed. I once was told that a long trip is not long at all if you are with friends. This is sure true. Our class, which is filled with many diverse groups of people, somehow always seem to be together at a dance sporting event, or whatever. You reinstated the true meaning of class spirit. I feel Greg Sotelo described this best when he said in the local paper, "Our class is filled with many characters, but it is also filled with its share of character." Our two exchange students, Doro from Germany and Joe from Brazil, the other night they stood before our class and said how they wished they could stay. If this does not tell you what the class of 1994 is all about, nothing will. As your president, this is my last address to you. It has been an honor and a privilege serving you. I thank you, the class of 1994. Most important, I would like to thank my family. Mom, Dad, you pushed me, you've shaped me, you've helped me become the person I am. I love you. We walked out here together today. Today we'll be leaving together. Tomorrow we may not be with each other, but no matter what, we will be walking with our Marshfield High School memories burning in our hearts forever. I would now like to leave by reading a card my mother gave me this morning that pertains to all the graduates. Graduation marks the beginning of a new time in your life, a time to begin experiencing greater independence, a time to start thinking more about your future, the obstacles you will overcome, the challenges you face, and the many decisions you'll have to make will have a major role in the adult you become and the life you will lead. As you graduate, know that you are loved, always, unconditionally. Follow your own heart, understand that persistence, hard work, and determinations are the keys to success. Believe in your talents and abilities, for you are the only one who controls your future. And you are the only one who can make your dreams come true. Thank you.
The National Council of Teachers of English winner this year, and who will be studying at Dickinson College in Carlisle, Pennsylvania next year, has the honor of presenting the class poem, Our Turn to Live.
Our turn to live. Do you remember smiling when that person you loved smiled too? And do you remember crying when that same person did not love you? Well, I remember everything, but how the time came and went has come and gone. These times will last long into tomorrow. Maybe nothing will ever seem as great as this day, because nearly nothing is as great as that which we leave behind. That which, trapped within our minds, has become our past, a time to last forever. Still, there's much to be said for our future lives. This day is but the answer to why we are here, simply to be allowed to move on without restraint. Beautiful is the life which lives far off in the distance. Wonderful was the challenge of these past years. Natural is the desire burning deep within to get out, and always special will be our memories, even the tears.
I'd like to call President Robichaud back to the stage here for the presentation of the class gift.
Good afternoon once again. I am proud to be a student here at MHS. I'm proud to be your president. Each and every one of you should be proud too. You have reached great heights here at MHS. We owe much of our success, although, to the school, the administrators, teachers, and the rest of the students. As a class, we must now thank Marshfield High School. We must look at everything it has done for us. Marshfield High School has enabled us to grow together as a class. It has provided us with a feeling of security and acceptance. It has educated and broadened us. On behalf of our class, the class of 1994, it is my pleasure to present you with a token of our appreciation, a sign which will be placed out front with the insignia of a ram. Also, we would like to present the class of 2000 with $100. This will be given so they have a treasury to start their high school careers off. Thank you.
Jeffrey Baxter, who will be attending Quinnipiac College in the fall, will now pay tribute to one of our class members.
Some would say that the person whom I speak of today isn't here, but I believe he is. Calvin Kuhn was a normal 9-year-old like you or I, who played video games and loved sports. He was a football player on the Eagles youth football team, and like any 9-year-old, he loved life. But one day, life challenged him. After experiencing shooting pains in his shoulders and noticing a large swelled mass on his back, Calvin went to Children's Hospital, and after a week of tests, he was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a type of cancer that affects the bone and soft tissues. Let's stop and think for a moment. 9 years old, stricken with cancer in the prime of his youth, he should have been riding bikes, having fun with friends, and playing football. Instead, he was having tests and going to chemotherapy. You'd think, the poor child, who will keep his spirits up and help him through? His family most assuredly, but a great part of the credit goes to Calvin himself. He kept his own spirits up. He never went through a why me stage, and he was acutely aware of what could happen. In part of a letter written to his brother, Calvin wrote, "Aaron, you know I could die. I won't. I hope you're having fun. Love, Calvin." During the next 2 years that Calvin was treated, he had remission and relapse of his cancer, and finally had to have an arm amputated. Even with the loss of an arm, Calvin still had a sense of humor. After his surgery, he looked in a mirror and smiled at a doctor and said, "Thanks. I can live with that." He could live with that. Unbelievable. Calvin directed the quality of his life. While he was dying physically, he was living in spirit and attitude. He continued his association with youth football. He couldn't play, but during the 1985 season, he was captain. During the 1987 season, he was given the game ball from the Super Bowl game. This happened a week before his death. Calvin's family was by his side throughout his whole fight. He loved his family. He wrote a poem about them, called The Truth. There is a truth, but you have to look for it. Although most people just ignore it, when you live, when you die, if you haven't found it, they won't ask why. It's the truth, a simple truth. What is this truth, you ask me? Now the only thing that it can be, it's very simple. It must be family. On January 31st, 1988, Calvin, now 11 years old, died quietly at home, surrounded by the truth, his family. I still remember the memorial service during the 6th grade. It was cold and rainy, and the seas were stormy on Humrock Beach. Something was read, and a white bird was released into the air. His father put a wreath in memory of Calvin into the ocean, with hopes it would go out to sea. But the frantic ocean washed it back to shore. His dad picked up the wreath, walked into the stormy seas, looked into the vast space in front of him, then he drew his arm back, and he threw the wreath with all his might. And he stood there, staring. He then slowly turned around, gathered his things, and walked off the beach. The wreath had long since washed to sea. Calvin ran his life like a river to the sea. A song called One Tree Hill was dedicated to Calvin on WBCN. This song exemplified Calvin's belief in the oneness of all, his love of life, and the fact that he could do anything, even die. These are the lyrics from that song. The moon is up and over One Tree Hill. We see the sun go down in your eyes. You ran like river to the sea, like a river to the sea. And in our world, a heart of darkness, a fire zone, where poets speak their hearts, then bleed for it. Jara sang his song, A Weapon in the Hands of Love. You know his blood still cries from the ground. It runs like a river to the sea, like a river to the sea. I don't believe in painted roses or bleeding hearts, while bullets rape the night of the merciful. I'll see you again when the stars fall from the sky and the moon is turned red over One Tree Hill. We run like a river to the sea. Would everyone please rise for a moment of silence? Would everyone please bow their heads?
We all know that Marshfield High School has a tremendous tradition relative to the music program. It's my pleasure here now to introduce Tara Joyce, who will be attending Ohio State University next year for the music selection, These Are the Days. Tara will be accompanied by Michael Forrester, William Carver, Eric Renault, and Neil McGrath. participate. I think you see the quality of the people in this class. It's now my pleasure to introduce Karen Finucane, who's the class secretary and will be attending Providence College to study marketing. She has the distinct honor of recognizing the class advisor, Mrs. Fader.
On behalf of the class of 1994, I'm here to recognize our class advisor, Mrs. Linda Fader. Actually, I shouldn't even say recognize. I shouldn't say anything. There's really no words to describe how we all feel about Mrs. Fader. Because since the first day when Mrs. Fader first thought out to head our class for the next 4 years, she's not only been an advisor, she's been our friend. From organizing class events to trying to keep our English class in line, Mrs. Fader did it all. Never once did Mrs. Fader forget to surprise each of us officers with a little box of candy and a card on holidays. And never once did she forget our birthdays. Mrs. Fader has constantly worked hard to make all of our class events special. And it is for this reason that we would like to make her feel special. We love you and we'll miss you, Mrs. Fader, but you'll always be in our hearts.
Mr. Adam Thomas, the class historian, will be attending Northeastern next year to study athletic training, has a distinct honor of presenting and recognizing one of our yearbook dedicatees. A.T.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Collins to stand up, please. Stand up. When I think about Mrs. Collins, I think of pride, courage, determination, and dedication. Whether it was in the classroom teaching Francais or after school advising the AFS club, those traits seem to follow her like a shadow. Through the AFS club, she has brought global awareness to our school and to our community. Mrs. Collins has made her love for kids and teaching very clear, and she has always been able to find time to lend a hand to a needful student. She has been a person who has helped her students not only succeed in the classroom, but in the game of life as well. To many of us, she's more than just a French teacher, she's a friend. She has been someone who lends an ear, gives her thoughts, and one who will always stand behind you. Mrs. Cullen made class fun, and most of all, she made her students feel good about themselves. Her sense of humor enabled her to have an outgoing personality. She has always found a way to wear a smile. As a teacher at MHS, Mrs. Cullen spread a feeling of happiness wherever she went, mainly because she saw the good in everyone and everything. Mrs. Cullen, on behalf of all my classmates behind me today, the class of 1994 wishes to dedicate their yearbook to you. Thank you.
Mark Weaver, the class vice president, who will be studying history at Springfield College, has a distinct honor of recognizing one of the members of the social studies department at MHS. Mr. Weaver.
I'd like to ask Mr. McMahon to please stand up. This next yearbook dedication is my pleasure to do. I had him junior year in history, and if you don't yet know who it is, you can find him in his room, usually late after school listening to Limbaugh. He's reading his Boston Herald, cutting out any kind of news clipping that catches his eye that could possibly mock the lives of Clinton, Farrakhan, or even Ted Kennedy. He made history class fun because he was different than most teachers. You see, he's an ultra-conservative, and is not a fan of Jimmy Carter, but rather Ronald Reagan. He taught us how to be analytical, and never to watch those docu-stinking dramas. He taught us never to take the liberal media seriously, and when asked if he was ever in the service, he would simply answer, "No, but I played Legion baseball once." In class, we used to see him looking out the window at the baseball field, but in reality, he was our window to the world of politics made us question and think, and that's why it is my pleasure to give this year's yearbook dedication to Ms. McMahon.
There's been the tradition here at Marshfield High School that rather than have invited speakers, we have our three top students in the senior class give honor essays. Our first honor essayist is Gregory Battello, who will be attending school at Harvard University next year. Greg wrote two speeches for today. He couldn't make up his mind which one he was going to decide to give. So it's my pleasure here that Greg will give the humorous one. Winner of the Principal's Award for Leadership, it's my pleasure here to introduce Greg Battello.
For our last hurrah. After 4 years full of sleepless nights and fun-filled days, mind-meddling problems and enlightening solutions, confusion and knowledge, setbacks and triumphs, we finally reached the culmination of our trials and tribulations here on graduation day. In the end, it was a fun, if not a particularly easy ride. Lack of sleep, countless distractions, multiple responsibilities, and, for no apparent reason, fourth term, worked to make our last few months some of the most hectic and exciting of our 4 years at Marshfield High. Unfortunately, I'm afraid the excitement and chaos may have gotten the better of me. On the whole, I like to think of myself as a fairly well-adjusted, stable, and, at the least, sane type of guy. Yet, recently several factors pointed to a forecast of mental breakdown in the near future. Possible long-range after effects from earlier head trauma, severe senioritis, deadlines, sleep deprivation, brainstorms. Any of these may have precipitated my spurt of madness the other day. The incident occurred after my final, in the last test of my high school career. Hunting down a few classmates to work out the details for a little celebration, I wandered the halls of MHS for one last time. As I walked down the History Highway, I noticed a from somewhere nearby. After pausing for a moment, I heard the again. Taken aback, I stumbled against the wall. "Hey, bud," something from somewhere near called out. "Did you hear this one?" Ronald Reagan, an Irishman, an Italian guy, walking the stock market. And across the way, I could have sworn something squealed. "My name is Simon, and I like to do drawings." I also could have sworn right around then that I had lost my mind. Not in the mood for jokes, conversation with Simon, or the loony bin, I citizened out the nearest exit, through the doors, down the stairs, and into the English wing. As I passed Mrs. Fader's and Mrs. Trainer's classes, the hallway chastised, without English, many books would have no meaning. Full of existential angst and fear for my well-being, I hung a quick right into the cooking music hall in an attempt to escape the madness. With the hallway empty, I decided it best just to keep on trucking. But before I bust through the next set of doors, a roar roared, "Whoa, fella, hold it right there." Not quite feeling the match for the supernatural on this day, I heeded the nothing's orders. And, assured that I had undoubtedly lost my mind a ways back, I answered the sounds and the nothing for the first word that popped into my head. "What?" "Over here on the wall," the essence explained. "Yeah, remember me? The guy whose nose you've rubbed for kicks for the last 4 years?" Then it hit me. The words are coming from the blue guy, the big blue head on the wall of the hallway. His presence had always alarmed me to a point, but this was getting ridiculous. Yet, silly as it may sound, I addressed the wall. "Hi, I'm crazy. What should I call you? Bach, Beethoven, something like that?" "You can call me Ed," the face responded. "And actually, you're not as crazy as you may think. I knew you'd come around." At this point, I was thinking that this was just the sort of thing which would get me kicked out of Harvard. Talking to walls, that is. But Ed, a Channel 1 student and ever the conversationalist, continued. "Marshfield High, you see, is a whole lot more than just classrooms, books, and materials. MHS is a special place. MHS is alive." Ed's intuition and insight proved amazingly perceptive, considering, that it was just a slab of paint on concrete. He explained to me the value of a good education, an active student body, and a living school. There were no limits to where we, as MHS students, could go, just as there were no limits to one's imagination. Ed noted that creativity, initiative, and hard work, together, could be very powerful. And these qualities lie at the root of a solid Marshfield education. Reluctantly, I politely parted with Ed's head, in the hope of salvaging my reputation, if not my sanity. Still, as I left Ed, my perspective on MHS, and to a lesser extent, life, had undeniably altered. The history wing, art rooms, English wing, plus Ed, had already contacted my inner consciousness. I tumbled through 2 sets of doors in rapid succession and into the gym to see what it had to say. The huge ram opposite the scoreboard swore his allegiance as he announced, "You know something? I just don't like Duxbury High at all." Meanwhile, the b-ball court continued to buzz about the Duxbury versus Marshfield boys basketball matchup of early winter, refusing to accept Curly's succession of threes to send the game to overtime, crying, "His huge feet were on the line, I swear." The banners sang their tune as well. The soccer flags attracted me like a magnet, as they echoed Toyota's trademark with, "Champions thrice, victories galore, who could ask for anything more?" On my way out of the gym, the water fountain cooed, "How about a little kiss, sweetie?" Never one for romance with metal, I spurned the bubbler and kept on my merry way. Nevertheless, even as open-minded as I had become, I was caught off guard when the elevator called me over and remarked, "What? After 4 full years here and you never once took a dip in the pool?" Knowing full well that there's no pool of MHS, I wasn't that crazy. Feeling somewhat awkward anyways, I looked for help, aka guidance. Upon entering the guidance lobby, before I could proceed into Ms. Roycroft's abode, the floor pleaded, "Guidance? You want help? What about my needs? Why don't you think of me for once, you selfish?" I quickly surmised that sanity would not be reached within these confines, so I continued my escapade, going through the authorized personnel-only doors and into the main office. Amid the conversation and clattering keyboards, the bench barked, "Did you get your lunch or get bagged for something else?" "Neither, but thanks for asking," I responded. Yet, realizing that talking to furniture may be considered a valedictorian faux pas, I made an early exit from the office as well. From there, I took off on my final getaway, away from the voices, away from the spirits, away from the memories. As I jolted towards my Buick, the school cried out, "Don't forget me, my friend." Marshfield High, my friend, undoubtedly left its mark on me, even on my subconsciousness. MHS had a personality, a style, a character all its own. It was, and is, a unique place. The extraordinary is bound to happen. But then, the moral of my frenetic, lunatic Shrek exceeds the mere wondrousness of MHS. Catchphrases tell you to expect the unexpected. Keep your eyes peeled at all times. To be ready for anything. Life at MHS, and, recently, the living MHS, had taught me that there is always something out there which you may not have recognized before. And also that wisdom and personality can come from the most unexpected of characters. I understood that I could not say I had experienced all that life had to offer until I opened my eyes and ears completely and explored every avenue of opportunity. The world contains many secrets, most of which, once discovered, can enrich one's character and mind tremendously. It is a tragedy to go through life thinking things are just so. By being receptive, one may find new friends. One may explore exciting places. And one may perpetually learn. So, along the highway of life, don't just stop and smell the roses. Also make use of as many off-ramps as possible. Explore and learn. Listen and live. Notice and assimilate. Absorb and act. And remember when you learned many of the rules of the road. Don't forget MHS. Thank you.
Pleasure to introduce Avinash Carr.
Hello, everyone. I thought about what I wanted to say today, and I decided that I wanted to say something different. But I couldn't figure out what that something different would be. What is left to be said that hasn't been said before? Then I thought about what my biggest problem in writing that something was. Besides the fact that I couldn't find a topic. Time was the problem. Finding the time to sit down and start. I find it quite amazing that we do more and more every day to make our lives healthier, easier, better, and yet we cannot find time to sit down and put up our feet. We are always on the go, sampling the whole menu, but not tasting or savoring the different flavors. No time. There's that word again. It's sad that time, a concept of our own creation, controls our life so much instead of the other way around. Time should be our tool, not our master. We should use a clock to help us keep order, but the clock shouldn't control the movement of our lives. We each need to take the time to talk to ourselves, to get to know ourselves. We need to give ourselves the gift of time. Today, I have the gift of time. The time to say thank you to my family, to my friends, to the school and guidance department, to my teachers, and to my grandmother, Rosemary Bilodeau, who helped me write this speech. And today, I have the time to wish good luck to you, my classmates, in your future endeavors and in your lives. And I urge you to take the time to sit in the sun with the breeze blowing, as we do here today, every once in a while, and help make our world a more enjoyable, a more serene place to live. Thank you.
Mrs. Bullock unfortunately missed it last year because she was away on, I believe it was the 25th wedding anniversary. And today we're delighted to have her here in view of the fact that her daughter's getting married tomorrow. Mrs. Bitsy Bullock, Chairman of the School Committee. The Vice Chairman of the Committee, Mr. Robert McNulty. Mrs. Victoria Marston, the Secretary of the School Committee. And the two newest members of the School Committee, Lawrence Whalen and James Hubbard. I'm also pleased to introduce the people who support us so well in the central office. With us today is Mr. Sylvester Njemi, the Assistant Superintendent of Business, Special Education, and our newest administrator. Welcome to Marshfield for Dr. Karen Berg, the Director of Curriculum. I would now like to call Mr. Robichaud back to the podium here in order to transfer the gavel to the President of the Class of 1995, Kevin Duras.
On behalf of the class of 1994, it gives me great pleasure to present a man who needs no introduction, Mr. Kevin DeRoss, with this gavel of leadership.
Thank you, Donnie. I don't have too much to say. I'd just like to say congratulations to the class of 1994. It's going to be a tough class to follow, but I'm going to do my best. And to Donnie Robichaud, I don't know how I'm ever going to even fit in those shoes, but I'm going to give it my best. And I'd just like to say good luck next year, and thank you.
And a time to prepare for the opportunities and challenges that await you. Few occasions in life are of greater significance than graduation for high school. It is a time for reflection, a time to reaffirm friendships, and a time to look to the future. You will often hear the graduation referred to as a commencement. Commencement is an ending and a beginning, a sunset and a sunrise. Today's commencement marks the culmination of your high school career. For some, it is the end of your formal education and an entrance to the world of work. For others, it is a stepping stone to the future, onto bigger and better opportunities such as higher education. Thus, commencement introduced a new chapter in your lives, a new adventure with all its future challenges. As you continue on your adventure, reach high for your goals, but don't forget the little joys that can be yours along the way. Remember that there is no greater accomplishment than sharing the moment of laughter, the harmony of friendship, and the beauty of love and peace. The class of 1994 is an unusual class. Most classes don't feel united until they reach upperclassmen status. You entered Marshfield High as a united class with a record of past performance and a potential for leadership. I have pride in each and every member of the class of 1994, and you should have pride in yourselves. You had the potential to succeed, the motivation, the confidence, the ability. You sought and attained excellence in the classroom, victory in the athletic field, outstanding recognition in drama, music, and art, and in the process, unmasked leaders in all areas and endeavors. Despite all the individual and group awards bestowed upon the class of 1994, you never wavered from your strong sense of values and personal integrity. You have given much dedicated service to the school and to its community. You have enjoyed many good times and have had to endure some bad times.
Gregory G. Botello. Avinash Carr. Michelle Catherine Bastian. John Patrick Burns. Eric Donald Renault. Tara Talbot Joyce. Michael J. Forrester. William Carver. Neil E. McGrath. William Peter Deftos. Jocelyn Elaine Chandler. Brian Richard Tingley. Matthew E. Bierce. Jeffrey M. Litchfield. Christy Grandy III.
Daniel Adams Arquette. Lee Athanasiou. Robert Matthew Alexander III. Corrine M. Bailey. Todd M. Alvey. Stephanie L. Barrett. Charles Salvatore Amaru. Allison Marnie Beagle. David P. Ashley. Lauren Benatti. Jared C. Bacon. Elise Nicole Blazy. Gregory S. Baldwin. Alan W. Barlow. Sarah Jane Buckafliska. Peter N. Beggio. Melissa Ann Buckner. Jason Robert Brown. Shane Elizabeth Byrne. Christopher David Bryant. April Marie Byron. Amy Marie Carroll. Charles Audette. Maria Ann Sinner. Sean Patrick Cheever. Amanda Grace Clapp. Michael Joseph Cipolo. Jean Marie Coleman. Timothy Francis Cleary. Nicole Maria Conley. Ryan Michael Cole. Carrie Ann Cuniff. Joshua Anthony Comesso. Laura C. Dalzell. Michael David Cosman. Anna Delori, Roger B. Curtis, Lisa Doolin, Craig W. Daly, Kristen Lee Dowd, Adam Isaac Dashner, Jessica M. Downey, Brian Lamont Davis, Jamie Ann Dukovich, William Justin DeLoach, Elia E. Elvermani, Ralph Edward Devaney Jr., Erica Jean Ellis, Michael Thomas Jeva, Abigail Anne-Marie Engstrom, Brian Patrick DeWolf, Adria Lee Figueredo, Eric S. DeWolf, Alexis Philippus, Richard Dale Donovan, Judith A. Flores, Nicholas John Drossopoulos Jr.,
My granddaughter.
Allison R. Forrester, Mark Eastman, Rebecca Marion Frisbee, Ryan K. Edgen, Gina C. Gandolfi, Kenneth F. Egan, Meredith Lynn Grant, Brian Charles Dolan Erickson, Rachel Lynn Haddad, Douglas Matthew Fahey, Catherine King Harrington, Ryan J. Farrell,
You better stop being so fast.
Janine Helen Harrison, David P. Fields, Melissa E. Hines, Jeremy Edward Figueredo, Jenna C. Holbrook, Matthew Robert Fitzgerald, Jessica Francis Horn, Jeremiah James Folcott III, Jeanette Marie Ingham, Sean M. Furs, Vicki Lynn Jessup, Keith L. Garrett Foley, Nicole Kathleen Johnson, Andrew C. Gary, Allison J. Jones, Michael D. George, Carolyn Jean Kaminsky, Paul R. George, Kerry Ann Kelly, Andrew Philip Golden, Jennifer Lee Kent, Justin R. Graham, Julie A. Kent, Jared S. Green, Yvonne M. Kent, Scott Matthew Gustafson, Susan A. Kidwell, David Peter Hagan, Carly B. Kite, John William Haney III, Joanna Leahy, Jack Ellsworth Houghton, Monty D. Levesque, Kevin Edward Hunter Jr., Stacy Elizabeth Ludwig, Christopher Jackson, Melissa McMahon, J. Jim Jackson, Andrea L. Marini, Timothy M. Jeroma. We need to take just a short break here. Pause, move the cameras. Benjamin Edward Johnson. Joanna Morrow. Robert Gunnar Johnson Jr. Catherine M. McKinney. Matthew C. Keefe. Megan McQueenie. James J. Kelly IV. Melissa May Melbowen. Gentlemen seated to the rear, I'd appreciate it if you refrained. Adam Glabonte. Kerry Lynn Moore. Matthew D. La Selva. Psycho! Erin Lynn Morey. Timothy Mark Leahy. Julie E. Murphy. Stephen Fitzgerald Lee. From Brazil, Joanna Zaz Musi. Patrick Lewis. Carrie Ann Norris. Kurt R. Lincoln. April A. Norris. Matthew Robert McDonald. Carrie Marie O'Brien. John J. Mahoney. Tricia Ruth O'Connor. David B. Mayo. Karen M. O'Donnell. Matthew S. Mamet. Marion Sarah O'Donovan. Louis J. Marani III. Candace Jean Padula. Thomas B. McAuliffe Jr. Sarah Elizabeth Pappas. Sean Peter McCarthy. Valerie Lynn Paris. Scott Jeffrey McDonough. Karen M. Pendergast. Jeffrey F. McGinn. Diana Melissa Perry. Sean Alex McGonigal. Jennifer Joanne Petrucci. Michael D. McIntyre. Deborah Ann. Alicia Marie Pitterino. John Patrick McLaughlin. Janet R. Polito. Jason M. McPeck. Lisa Prives. Derek A. Mello. Connor Mooney. Andrea Lynn Rose. Shane C. Moore. Jennifer Lynn Roseman. Sean J. Morey. Laurie Ann Raw. Christopher G. Mullen. Danielle Renee Richalski. William F. Nicholson. From Germany, Dorothea Ursula Schafter. Richard James O'Brien. Adrienne M. Shagori. Timothy M. O'Toole. Andrea Bridget Scala. Luke Orlandi. Jennifer Ann Southern. Christopher J. Penny. Janina Tina Spalvin. Ronald G. Fetterplace Jr. Jamie A. Spurrier. Thomas C. Platt. Kerry L. Steele. Matthew J. Doherty. Jessica Stovall. Adam C. Peschel. Lee Carroll Sullivan. Patrick J. Quigley Jr. Catherine A. Taylor. David J. Reardon. Kara Ray Templeton. Clinton Rigo. Mara Kathleen Tobin. Christopher Ravelli. Jennifer R. Trenfalia. Alexander G. Sanchez. Krista Lee Trocchio. Christopher J. Scarpanetti. Christina C. Witcher. Brian D. Shakocious. Jessica A. Witcher. Corey Daniel Simmons. Shannon Marie White. Brian P. Stark. Michelle Marie Wilson. Scott D. Sweeney. Kimberly Ann Woodbury. Edward Carrasca. Joseph C. Trentfaglia. Nicholas Turner. Timothy J. V. Walsh. Michael J. Ward. Michael S. White. Derek. Brian M. Woodard. Scott A. Woolwine. Christopher Scott Wright. Mike introduce staff, the MHS band under the direction of Mr. Mayor for their wonderful contributions to the graduation. It is absolutely incredible the amount of work that has to be done in order to have such a wonderful graduation. Thank you to all those support personnel. I would kindly ask that the graduates please allow time for the invited guests and the faculty to recess off the field before we form the traditional circle to the rear and toss the caps. Thank you for a wonderful graduation. Outstanding class. Wish you the best of luck.
What are your plans now?
You take it.